research and donations to the Oakland residents battling cancer. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
Second, Mothers Club of Oakland, license RL 1400 ID 35751292. Mothers Club of Oakland on June 4th, a raffle, 6:30 to 1. Is that a misprint? Because the other one was 6:30 to 11. I don't know if that's a misprint, but they're going to be raffling off baskets. 20 baskets at $50 each, on 15 baskets of $100 each, and 10 baskets at $200 each. Again, donations for cancer research and Oakland residents battling cancer.
So moved.
So moved.
Second.
Second, all in favor?
Aye. Aye.
All right, we have resolutions put off. We're pulling out the last two resolutions, which is 21-172 and 21-173. All others will go through it, and if you want any pulled out afterwards, you'll let me know. 21-151 is to award the bid for the interior restoration for the Ben Allen House for Louis Graham, 15 Brentwood Road in Clark for $177,500. CFO has certified funds are available. 21-152, authorize the grant agreement with Bergen County for the Farmlands and Historic Preservation Trust Fund for the municipal park project entitled Roosevelt Riverfront Park, which will be converted into passive activity. 21-153, authorized refunds of recreation fees. The Burchell family, $70 for rec basketball and $120 for rec baseball. The Edwards family, 7 Iroquois Ave, $113 for lacrosse pre-K. Resolution 21-154, authorize the refund of soil erosion, 28 Ryerson LLC, and it'll be care of Philip Mimo, 33 Bourbon Street in Wayne, for $2,000. $21,162, adjust salary assistant to the administrator. And this is for Michael Corelli's base salary shall be $62,500, effective April 15th, 2021. $21,163 is appoint a part-time senior citizen aide Debbie Henry at a rate of $15 an hour of the senior director, and she will be asked to work as needed. Resolution 21-164 is to set fee structure for the Sustainable Oakland Green Team plant sale. Fee structure has to be established for the sale. 3 plants for $25, 6 plants for $45, 9 plants for $65, and 18 plants for $125. 21-165, assigned contract alternate public defender, Sophie Satterad, who is the attorney for the zoning board. This contract had to be amended because now she is employed by the following firm, Price, Michelman, and Dominio, and therefore they are signing the contract to them. Resolution 21-166 is authorized contract to Connolly and Hickey for grant assistance for the interior renovation project of the Van Allen House, and the grant application, the services to prepare the grant application not to exceed $1,250. Our CFO has certified the funds are available. 21-167, resolution supporting S3522, creating local part of the Public Employees Retirement System, PERS. 21-168, approve use of alternate CDC quarantine guidelines for recreation sports programs. And it is authorized to use either the alternate CDC quarantine periods for outdoor sports programs as specified. After 10 days without testing, after 7, after receiving a negative test result, proof of negative test result must be provided. 21-169, authorized refund, tax court judgment block 3204 lot 2. And this is a refund for the 2019 property taxes in the amount of $5,692.50. It shall be issued to Daniel Keogh, trustee, Ventura, Meisowitz, Keogh, and Warner in Summit, New Jersey. 21-170 is to refund, as you know, disabled veterans, fully disabled veterans do not pay property taxes. So we're awarding Brian, and thank you for serving the country, Brian Fernandez. So on November 10, 2020, Ryan Fernandez, owner of 720 Rample Valley Road, block 5301, lot 5, was declared permanently disabled by the Department of Veterans Affairs, and therefore he gets a full property tax exemption as a permanently disabled veteran, and the first quarter taxes in the amount of $2,055.82. If for some reason they was paid. Again, Brian, thank you for serving our country. And 21-171, authorize the grant application to Bergen County Audubon Society in the amount of $1,500 to help fund the expansion of the borough's Monarch Butterflies Way Station and Butterfly Gardens within the Great Oak Park. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Any pull out? Roll call.
Councilman Bialy,
Yes.
Councilman Kamala,
Yes.
Councilman Pignatelli,
Yes.
Councilman Sisinski,
Yes.
Councilman Talamini,
Yes.
Councilman Van Eck.
Yes.
So
Eric,
now we,
Before we
got
go,
everybody.
before we
So
go,
now we have resolution 21-172, request for funding transportation member designated project. Is there a motion?
so moved.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Richard, could you please explain?
Sure. So this resolution and the next one, 21-173, are the result of a recent change in Congress. Some of you may recall the era where Congress typically did what were called earmarks, where members could request direct funding in federal appropriation bills for projects in the members' districts. A number of years ago, that practice was eliminated. In this Congress, they want to reinstitute that practice, but in a more structured format than it was done historically, such that each member will be able to submit 10 projects, as we were told, to the various appropriation committees and each would be able to expect about 2 projects to be funded directly in their districts. The projects that are selected will need to meet all of the requisite funding guidelines, consistent with whatever grant program it aligns with. And so there's 2 funding opportunities here. The one with this resolution 172 is through the Local Transportation Initiative Program. Congressman Gottheimer solicited proposals so his office can review them. They'll take all the requests from all the members, all the member communities, select 10, and then submit them on to Congress. We hear that they'll be engaged in that selection process over the next week and a half or so. So this was a fantastic opportunity for us to seek additional funding. And in this particular case, we sat down, we looked at what are our greatest needs, what are our big ticket items, and tried to focus on those to realize the most bang for our buck, so to speak. So this resolution authorizes the grant submittal, which is a little bit after the fact. The grant submittal was actually due, or the funding request, I should say, was actually due to the Congressman's office by 5 o'clock on Monday. So we put this together to help fund the Patriots Way Bridge in the amount of $4.1 million and change. That's 80% of the revised estimated cost estimate for the project, which is the funding guideline. It's about an 80-20 grant. And so we would be able to, if we were successful, utilize this federal funding in conjunction with our state funding that we have on hand of approximately $1.1 million to fund that improvement project. And
we're hoping that, and this is what we talked about, and I've talked to Congressman Gottheimer about this. The bridge, the Patriots Way Bridge, goes over the Ramapo River, and the Ramapo River is an interstate river. So we're hoping that triggers something over other projects. So we'll see, but we're trying. Does anybody have any questions for Mr. Kunz on this one? This is the one for the requesting funding for the project for the Patriots Way Bridge. This is resolution 21-172. If not, roll call.
Councilman Bialy,
Yes.
Councilman Kamala,
Most definitely yes.
Councilman Pignatelli,
Yes.
Councilman Slisinski,
Yes.
Councilman Talamini,
Yes.
Councilman Van Eck.
Yes.
So a second grant has been requested, and this is going to be resolution 21-173. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
So moved.
Second.
Questions? Or, well, first, before questions, Mr.
Right.
Kunz, explain 173, the
right.
grant application.
So this is through the second of the eligible programs through the Congressman's office. And this is called community programs. There's a wide variety of things that this money could be used for, including sewer and wastewater and water projects as well. So we thought that this would be a great opportunity, especially given the limited other grant funding opportunities that we've been able to identify, to request money for the sewer plant decommissioning project. So that's what we're doing here. That grant is due, or I should say the funding request is due by Friday at 5, and we're in the middle of putting that together now. And that requests about $4.5 million. Again, it's an 80% grant. It's about $4.5 million towards the decommissioning project.
And that would be used if we are lucky enough to get that, it would be used specifically for that purpose.
Correct.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any
question.
questions for Mr. Kunz? Yes.
Mr. Kunz, if you recall, when we applied for the one of the grants for the Patriots Way Bridge, we really engaged the citizens of the community on a letter writing campaign. Do you feel that these grants would be backstopped with community input from the residents as far as sharing their input and the need for this?
Yeah, they do want to see that can be helpful. And we've been accumulating, the various news articles and press coverage of this project, our previous presentation materials and the like, to support that grant application as well.
Okay. So we should be doing the same process we did with the bridge, engaging with the homeowners association to start a letter writing campaign, and also working with somebody from the sewer group as well to start a letter writing campaign.
I don't think it could hurt. The only issue is this all came up very, very quickly. We were given about a week's notice.
Right, we had the meeting.
There was a webinar put out last Friday
Right.
by the congressman's office. The grant materials had come out, a few days earlier than that last week. So this is a very, very tight turnaround, tight time frame because of how long the congressman's office then needs to vet the proposals to submit a final list to Congress, which I guess has its own deadline. So
Okay.
there's not left a lot of time to engage in some of the process that we would normally undertake.
Okay, so if somebody does write a letter, who should they send it to? Borough
Should they
Hall,
send
to your
email,
attention?
maybe email?
Emails work great. Send them right to Michael. And we can include it. Michael, there is a section to include a PDF, right?
Yes.
Yep. Okay.
Michael, could you give out your email address?
Yes. My email is assistadmin, ASSISTADMIN at oakland-nj.org.
Would you just repeat that one more time?
Yes. It's assistadmin, ASSISTADMIN at oakland-nj.org.
Thank you.
Mayor, can I just, one more thing?
Sure.
Even though this is specific to the sewer people and the people up in the reserve, I think if anybody watching this from the borough of Oakland could please write letters supporting these projects, because at the end of the day, it's all of our tax dollars here to help control our taxes. So please write in support, and let's see how many we can get out to the Congress's office. Thank you, Mayor.
Right. But if we do get the grant money, it will be for those specific purposes. So if let's say we get the grant money for the sewers, it's not going anywhere else. It's staying with the sewer project.
Correct.
So just be aware of that.
Right. And the other thing I just want to make clear as well, because, we throw around a lot of acronyms. There's a lot of federal funding programs. Neither of these grants has anything, or I keep saying grants, they're actually just funding requests, have anything to do with the American Rescue Plan or any of that COVID relief money that we're still waiting for guidance on. This is completely separate from that.
All right. So now we have two ordinances. Did we vote? We voted? I think we did. No, we didn't
No.
vote yet. Oh my goodness. Michael,
Councilman Bialy,
Yes.
Councilman Kamala,
Yes.
Councilman Pignatelli,
Yes.
Councilman Sasinski,
Yes.
Councilman Talamini,
Yes.
Councilman Vanek.
Yes.
okay. So now we have two ordinances, final adoption. The first one is 21 Code 825 Cap Bank. This is an ordinance to exceed the municipal budget appropriations limit and to establish a cap bank, NJSA 40A:4-45.14. Is there a motion to open to the public?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Does anyone wish to speak on this?
If you wish to speak on this ordinance only, please click the raise your hand icon or *9 on a mobile phone. Mayor, I see no one further.
Motion to close.
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
All right, I need a motion to adopt 21 Code 825 Code Bank.
So
Code Bank, Cap Bank.
Second.
Roll call.
Councilman Bialy,
Yes.
Councilman Kamala,
Yes.
Councilman Pignatelli,
Yes.
Councilman Sasinski,
Yes.
Councilman Talamini,
Yes.
Councilman Vanek.
Yes.
The next ordinance is ordinance number 21 Code 826. It is to regulate chickens. And is there a motion to open to the public?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Again, if you wish to provide public comment on this ordinance only, please click the raise your hand icon. Mayor, I see no one further.
Motion to close.
So moved.
Second.
All in
Mayor.
favor?
Wait, question?
Aye.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
question on the ordinance after.
Okay, was there a motion to approve?
Got a
So
question?
moved.
Second.
All right, now the question.
Question, Mayor, I just, we had a very long discussion about the chicken ordinance, and there was just a little confusion that wound up at the end of the last meeting when we were dealing with this. And it had to do with the fence, a fenced-in yard serving as a chicken run. And this was something that the residents wanted. I was just wondering if we could simply modify that to include that, to just make it a little simpler, and just make it more palatable for the residents to have chickens in their yard in a fenced-in area.
So you don't want to adopt this ordinance?
Correct. I'd like to just make a quick minor change and send it back again.
I don't know. Can we do that? We can't do that just like that, right, Brian?
There could be a motion to amend. We'd have to republish and then adopt.
All right, so number 7, the fenced-in chicken run, you want that to be amended?
Yes.
It states now the fenced-in chicken run shall be well drained so that there is no accumulation of standing water. The floors and walls of the chicken shelter or coop shall be kept in a clean and sanitary condition, with all droppings collected at least weekly. And what else is there for the chicken run?
I think
No.
leave it
No.
Oh, a chicken run
before.
are only
It's number
permitted in
4.
the rear and shall comply with accessory structure setbacks in accordance with Schedule B and C of the Land Use and Zoning Code.
Right, so just so that I understand it, is that the issue that came up last time was the chicken shelter or coop, and that the chicken run was attached to that coop, which was required to maintain the setbacks for an accessory structure, which typically is 5 feet in Oakland. My understanding, Councilman, is that the structure shall be set back 5 feet, but the fenced-in run does not have to be set back 5 feet. Did I say that correctly?
I believe so. But Mr. Pickley, can you just chime on this, because we kind of spoke of this at length?
The revision would be in number 4,
Oh,
not the setback. It would be in number 4 to say if a run is if the yard is fenced in, you do not have to provide a separate chicken run. I believe you have the wording for that, Mr. Kamala.
Yes.
that's not in number 4.
Well, I
Number
think-
4 is chickens shall be kept in a roof shelter or coop.
That would be
Keep getting
6. It would be under 6.
6 is that are only permitted in the rear yard and shall comply with the accessory structure setbacks.
I
So we
think,
would just add, after that, Schedule B and C of the Land Use and Zoning Code, we would add an additional sentence stating a fenced-in backyard
number
or
5.
rear yard would qualify as a chicken run.
And
Exactly.
number 5 says chickens are not permitted to roam freely unless they are in a contained area, such as in a fenced-in area.
I'm going to make it simple.
Yes.
Number 6 should read, a chicken shelter / coop and chicken run are only permitted in the rear yard, and the chicken shelter / coop shall comply with the accessory structure setbacks in accordance with Schedule B and C of the Land Use and Zoning Code. So the chicken run no longer has to comply with the setback.
Is that agreeable with everybody?
That works for me.
So now this has to be republished, right?
Does it have to be published, Brian?
What needs to be done is someone needs to make a motion to amend the language in paragraph 6. If it passes, then we will republish and list it for adoption at a future meeting.
I move to make the changes in paragraph 6.
All right, so paragraph 6 is
Second.
going to be amended and seconded by Councilman Bialy. Now, do we vote on that? Roll call, Brian?
Yes, you
Okay,
need a
roll
roll
call.
call and a vote on the amendment.
We're just voting on the amendment.
There's a
Oh, wait a
question from
minute.
Mr. Pignatelli.
Wait a minute, Councilman? Your
Yes.
hand is up. Speak.
Councilman Kamala, I thought you had a written
Yes.
revision to number 4.
Yes,
They're
it says,
talking about number 6. We didn't
Right.
talk about 6. We're
You're
talking
right.
about number 4.
I have it right here. Chickens shall be kept in a roofed shelter or coop, which shall provide a minimum of 3 horizontal square feet per adult bird. And if a fully enclosed fence chicken run is provided, a minimum of 5 square feet per adult bird shall be given.
That's the amendment.
That's the language.
How's
Not
So you have to
number
amend 2 things.
how's it different?
So that's different from 6, so you don't want to amend 6.
Or do we
wanna
wanna do
amend
both?
Do you want to amend both, Pat?
Yes, do both, I guess.
All right, so let's vote on 6 first, because that's the one we just talked about. Roll call.
Councilman Bialy,
Yes.
Councilman Kamala,
Yes.
Councilman Pignatelli,
Yes.
Councilman Slasinski,
Yes.
Councilman Talamini,
Yes.
Councilman Van Eck.
Yes.
Now, the amendment to 4. There, you have a motion and a second.
Okay.
Any other amendments, any other modifications?
None.
Roll call on 4.
Councilman Bialy,
Yes.
Councilman Kamala,
Yes.
Councilman Pignatelli,
Yes.
Councilman Slasinski,
Yes.
Councilman Talamini,
Yes.
Councilman Van Eck.
Yes. And I just want to thank Councilman Pignatelli because he really led the charge with this entire process and did a
He
phenomenal
led
job.
the chicken run?
I was happy to do it, and I know
Like the Pied Piper with chickens.
I know 100% of the people are not going to be satisfied, but believe me, we changed 20 regulations to 10, and then we amended 2 of the 10 to be more palatable. So I think
Alright.
we did our best.
Can
think
we
we
do,
should
is there enough time for it to be heard at the next meeting?
Uh,
I
Well,
believe so.
Brian, this has to go back to the planning board?
No,
No?
no, they've already reviewed it. I'm not worried about sending it back to the planning board. I consider the amendment substantive. You know what? Maybe belt and suspenders, we will send it back to the planning board just because of the setback issue.
So then we can't do this again until after the planning board meeting. We just met last week, so it's gonna be another month.
Yeah, I was talking with Lisa about this a little bit. I think it winds up being the way that the timing works on this. It winds up being the second meeting in May for the public hearing and final adoption.
Okay,
Okay.
so that's when we do the second meeting in May.
All right, so
I think Pat Pignatelli should replace Colonel Sanders as the chicken king of the
Yes.
world.
just so that there is an appropriate announcement, then what's the second meeting in May date?
The 4th Monday and the 4th Wednesday.
It is the May 26th.
All right, so then the public hearing for the second reading and potential adoption of this ordinance will be on May 26th.
So don't forget to send it to the planning board.
Thank you.
Okay, work session. We're going to change it around in case it gets too late. So the first item in work session will be marijuana.
Mayor, I'd like to make a motion. We carry the bylaws till next meeting.
Well, what if we have a long meeting?
Let's just carry that. Let's just carry that for next meeting.
Yeah. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. But I'm not going another 6 years without bylaws.
No, you're right.
Okay, so what are we up to?
Okay, so now we're up to marijuana. So everybody has all their notes. We have to decide what we want to do. If we do not do anything by the end date, which is in the summer, then the state comes in and decides for us. If we do decide we want to do something, we have to do it before the end date. Now, the question is, we're not deciding, the end date is August 20th. I got that from the lead. So we have to decide about licenses in Oakland. We are not deciding about the legality of marijuana. Marijuana is legal in the state of New Jersey. Fortunate or unfortunate as it may be, It is legal in New Jersey, and now it's also legal in New York. What we have to deal with is, do we want to allow licenses in Oakland? There are 4 licenses that we would have to deal with, not just one. If we skip any, then the state could come in and say, well, you didn't do that, so they can do this. The one thing that we cannot prohibit, and that's a given, is we cannot prohibit any deliveries going through Oakland. So if somebody in our next town has marijuana, either a retail establishment or a wholesale establishment, etc., and someone from another town has to deliver it, we cannot prohibit the truck from going through Oakland. So that's off the table. Deliveries are off the table. The 4 licenses are as follows: commercial/retail. That's like a storefront. Whether or not you want to sell retail marijuana paraphernalia, marijuana, gummies, brownies, bakeries, whatever they make, medical, all that stuff, retail. That's one license. Second license is called cultivation. That's the growing with indoor greenhouses, etc. Third license is processing/manufacturing. That's the making of the brownies, the gummies, the whatever. I don't know what they make. I don't know what they cook. I don't know what they do with marijuana. Those 3 licenses, if they are allowed in our town, we not only do we get the rateable of that company, but we also get 2% of their sales. The 4th license is wholesale. That means they're only selling wholesale, not retail, wholesale. If we allow that license, then we only get 1% of the sales. The planning board, you read through all the all about cannabis. You read from the planning board. They're in favor of it, except to make sure that it's discreetly put, and it's properly placed. If it listen, you know how I feel about this, so we'll open it for discussion. Who would like to start the discussion?
Well, considering that this vote from the perspective of Oakland residents passed 3,700 to 1,800, which is almost 2 to 1. I think the majority of the residents in town agree with the marijuana new rule or new law. The question is whether and I think if that question was put to the same residents, would you accept having commercial, retail, manufacturing, or cultivation in town to drop your property taxes? I think would be 2 to 1 again in the same vein. But I don't know if we would want it. The question I have is, if you accept one option, do you have to accept all of them? Or
no, that's why I said there are 4 separate licenses. If we do not authorize or approve an ordinance for any of these 4, the state comes in and says, okay, carte blanche. So if we pass an ordinance, if you don't want any of them, you have to pass an ordinance prohibiting all 4. You may say, look, I don't want retail. I don't want to line up. You hear these stories out in Colorado where they line up to get their marijuana in stores. You may not want that. So that's one license. If you forget to prohibit that, they could come in. So you would have to have an ordinance that specifies, and I've talked to other mayors and they've showed me their ordinances. It specifies if you prohibit it, you have to prohibit all 4 licenses or whichever licenses you want or don't want. If I was thinking of like the cultivation, the indoor greenhouses, and I know that Councilman Cavallo brought up the last time because we got that environmental study, uses a lot of water. Well, they're paying for the water, and we may have to buy water. If we end up suing downtown Oakland, we're allocated to buy some water. Give them that water. They're paying for it. But if you think cultivation won't affect us because it's for, I was thinking of there are places along West Oakland Avenue in the industrial area. I've had inquiries already from companies interested in cultivating and growing. And I mentioned, call Dewey. They're always looking to rent their spots up there away from us on the other side of the highway. That's just it. So we would have, each license is a separate license. You have to either if you want 3 and you don't want 4, then you have to do 3 and not 4. You know, you have to pick and choose. You can't just say no marijuana. You have to specify what you are prohibiting. The
Mayor-
only thing you have no right to prohibit is the delivery through town.
The question
That
I
the
have,
state said
Mayor,
no.
the
Yes.
question I have is, I understand the commission just met yesterday. I don't know if, are there any rules and regulations yet? So, I mean, I don't want to pass something before we see what the rules and regulations are, you know, because if we do, then they're going to tell us in the rules and regulations what we can and can't do. So I don't know. Does anybody have an answer to that?
Brian, correct me if I'm wrong, but I thought they amended it so you could grow in your house.
That I don't know off the top of my head. They were precluding home use in New Jersey. Whether that's been amended or not, I don't know.
They're amending it all the time. You're right,
Right.
Pat. I mean, there's constant amendments, and we do have time until August.
Right. So maybe if I can just give you a quick overview. The legislation basically established 6 distinct type of licenses. And it gave municipalities 180 days to opt out, meaning that if a municipality does not take an action, all those types of uses are permitted in the municipality based upon the municipality's current zoning. And even if you had an ordinance on the book that prohibited any sort of marijuana businesses as a, let's call it a preemptory strike, that would not be of any force and effect. What you can do is you can pick and choose what you want to allow. However, the difficult part is that when you regulate, the statute specifically provides that you could regulate the number of type of licensed facilities that you would permit. And you could also establish police power regulations such as security, and also regulations such as distance requirements, which you typically see with alcoholic beverage type licensed facilities. What I have been seeing is that most municipalities have been doing is they've actually prohibited all classes of use. We've had some municipalities that, you know, people come out and they beat up the municipality on that. The preclusion of the use pursuant to zoning does not preclude the use of the product on an individual's property. It also, you cannot prohibit licensed delivery of the product in your municipality. So the first choice is do you want to permit any types of uses? If you do, where would you permit them? What types, how many, and what restrictions would be imposed in terms of location, such as residential areas, schools, park, churches, municipal facilities, and the like. My problem has been is that when we look at it from a zoning perspective, if the governing body said, well, we'll permit one of the uses or 3 of the uses, but we don't want it within 2,500 feet of any of the types of uses that I just described, maybe you can't have it anywhere in town if you do that study. But that study hasn't been done. So I think you just have to be careful how you're looking at this. If you prohibit it today by an outright ban of all 6 classes of licenses, nothing precludes you from coming back. You can kick it to the planning board and say, you know, and I know they looked at it, but you know, where is
They
it?
looked at it favorably, by the way.
I know.
Unanimous support.
Yeah, where is it and the like. So, I mean, those are my suggestions. It's difficult to do. Where I've run the gamut, where we've been instructed to draft ordinance prohibiting all classes of uses, Wayne, Cedar Grove, Union City. I mean, it's pretty interesting.
So Brian, just quick on this. So for activities like cultivation, manufacturing, processing, storing, warehousing, and wholesale distribution, marijuana, I would like an ordinance crafted that would permit it in our industrial zones, I-1, I-2, I-3, and IP. That's for that. As far as the retail sale, which is different, designating drug-free zones, not having it anywhere within 1,000 feet of a school property or school purposed business for an elementary school, secondary school. To your point, we don't know what that would limit us to if we did 1,000 feet from those things, where that would actually end up. That it cannot be located within a certain number of feet from a residential zone, and that it can't be, you can't consume marijuana on the premises of such facilities like we just outlined. That is what I would like to see crafted to, based on the PowerPoint that you sent us that I reviewed, really the next steps, there was 1, 2, and 3. So I would recommend we take step 2, which is permit licensing and sale of recreational cannabis to the fullest extent as permitted by laws with these local restrictions that I just outlined.
And
Excuse me.
correct, 1 second. If I'm correct,
And sorry, last point.
I'm
Mayor.
a little confused. They do not separate anymore recreational and medical. Is that correct?
No,
Brian?
it's still separate. You can have medical facilities that are subject to a separate license.
And I also am in favor of the ability for our community, which, again, the planning board, which I was on last year, it was an honor to serve on the planning board as the liaison last year. Section 40 of the legislation lays out that we can have the ability as a municipality to no more than 2% tax on cultivation, manufacturing, or retail, and then no more than 1% on wholesale. So again, cultivation, manufacturing, retail, 2%, and there's different things built within that, and then 1% on wholesale. And I would like an ordinance crafted that would allow for that, with that 2% and 1% tax that would go directly to the municipality. And again, the feedback from the planning board, both the letters, one from November and then one from a few weeks ago, with the unanimous support adopting such an ordinance, because it would be beneficial to Oakland, where we could see substantial increased tax revenue if an ordinance like this was adopted.
Do you know, Brian, why they only made wholesale 1%?
I don't know. I mean, it took the legislature way too long to act on this, so who knows how they came up with anything.
Yeah. So
the only comment, I know John has a comment, but if we're looking at Oakland Industrial Park and establishing distance prohibitions, we have churches, or I should say houses of worship and schools in the industrial park.
I was thinking of West Oakland Avenue, the industrial area over there.
Yeah, my point, Mayor, excuse me, is that we have prepared a map that I forwarded previously to Rich. We could forward it again. And it identifies the areas within town that have houses of worship, schools, etc., uses that Councilman Van Eck was talking about, and it shows the radius around these areas, and we could put an overlay of the zoning map over the top of it.
Yeah, and John, thank you for bringing that up. I was going to mention that because I think that we took a look at that when we were talking about the marijuana and the medical marijuana issue a couple of years ago. So we can provide that to everybody. John's right; it exists already.
So Mayor, I just want to chime in here. I've kind of listened to a lot of the input that's been coming from council members yourself. For the last week, I've been doing a lot of inquiries, trying to really understand the nuts and bolts of this law. And one of the people I reached out to was Mike Serra, who's the executive director of the League of Municipalities for
He
guidance.
just spoke on Tuesday to the mayors.
Right. So I reached out to Mike and we had a very good, positive conversation. I was asking Mike, I said, what are you seeing statewide as far as the adoption of this? And there were several red flags that Mike had brought to my attention, and Mayor, I'm sure you're well aware of also. Number one, the Cannabis Commission has only met for the first time this Monday. Their next meeting is on the 20th. Right now, there is no substantive guidance from the Marijuana Commission as far as taxing it, where you can put it, any oversight. It's a blank piece of paper right now, which I would hate to put us in a position of putting the cart before the horse. If this is something we want to do, we certainly want to do it properly and responsibly. And what Mike said, the best course of action really at this point is to do an outright ban of marijuana for now. And the reason he said that was it preserves our rights to make changes. So once we see the commission provide the framework for what this business is going to look like, we can revisit this 6 months down the road, a year down the road, 2 years down the road. So we have a framework to work off of instead of coming in as the Wild West thinking that we know what's best on how to set up this type of business. I mean, I'm not an expert on any of this.
Well, I think we know what's best for Oakland better than they know what's best for Oakland.
So
you know what? We don't have to do it tonight because
Correct.
we have till August.
Well, no.
Sit and talk about it. I'd like to hear the residents and get the views of the residents. And John is absolutely right. I got the total votes from the marijuana question from the 2020 election, and there were 3,942 suggest marijuana should be legalized, and those were 1,982. It was more than 2 to 1. Whether or not they won in Oakland, I don't know. They said marijuana should be legalized. That's because I know personally there are a lot of people that use medical marijuana. It's helped a lot of cancer patients, very much so, more than any medications. So yes, they may have said, yes, marijuana should be legalized. And what was the count in the state? Was it a 60%? Yes, it was a very high percentage. New York passed it. We're not talking about whether or not marijuana should be legalized. What we're talking about is whether or not we should get on the bandwagon, because it's going to be a very big industry. And we don't have to make a decision now about banning it or not banning it. I think what every councilman has to do, and it's his responsibility to do, is reach out and have the residents contact you. What do you think about it? Should we allow cultivation in Oakland? Should we allow manufacturing in Oakland? Should we allow wholesaling in Oakland? Should we allow retail sales in Oakland? It's here. If they don't get it here, they're going to get it somewhere. They'll go to the next town and the next town. And I'm going to give you just, I've been taking, as a prosecutor, you know, I've been taking so many classes on marijuana. And one of the classes, one of the senator who sponsored the bill was a speaker. And he gave us a story where he was once the borough, I think he was one of the city attorneys in one of the counties below Hudson County. I can't remember which county it was. And at the time, they were offered, his city, where he was the attorney, was offered to have a utilities company come in and set up shop, just almost like a Northwest Bergen Utilities Authority. And the environmentalists came out and said, no, we don't want it. We don't want it. The next town over, the bordering town said, we'll take it. The fumes from the next town over came into his town. So they got the effects, the negative effects of it, but they didn't get any of the money. The town next to them got all this financial boom for the residents, and their taxes were stabilized to no end.
Like you said, it's not even just the ratables, it's the additional 1% and 2% tax revenue.
The rateable,
not to Bergen County, not to Trenton, not to DC, directly to Oakland.
We said that, and the mayor said, they may have approved it statewide, but if we put the question to the Oakland voters, do you want retail or commercial and all the licenses that the mayor, just to coin an old cliche, Yes, but not in my backyard.
Well, that's what I
Hey,
want.
hey, Councilman Pignatelli,
That could be 70% of the people not wanting it here.
Councilman Pignatelli,
Get it somewhere, Pat. They're going somewhere to get it.
Councilman
I understand
Pignatelli,
what you're saying, but and you said it correctly before. We don't have to make decision tonight. We have
Correct.
until August. I don't want to have rules and regulations published without our knowledge. Let's wait until they publish the rules and regulations, and then we'll revisit it. We don't need to do that tonight.
That's why I said I wanted to have an open discussion. I want all of you to please reach out to your contacts, the residents that you
Sure.
speak to, coaches, talk to the parents, talk to the residents. I'm asking the residents, email us, please. You have our email address. It's our last name at oakland-nj.org. Email us. We want your opinions. Do you feel that the money we will gain, the 2% from the allowing them here for the license, plus the rateable, is it worth it? Or if you don't want it, tell us. Then we know we don't want it.
But Mayor,
we need time to talk about it. We want everybody to talk about it. I don't want to just sit back and say, let's do something quickly now. I want to take our time, talk to the residents, have the residents contact us and talk about it. The pros and the cons. Do the research.
Mayor,
Yes.
before you interrupted me, what I was trying to say was, which I didn't have a chance to finish, was in speaking to the League of Municipalities, that they don't even know if the rules are going to be ready 6 months to a year and a half. They have no way of knowing. There's no guidance at this point. And to your point that there is no deadline, yes, there is a deadline in August.
Right.
Okay. So with that being said, my position is we put the ban in now so that we don't have to have a knee-jerk reaction and rush into this, because we might find out 9 months from now the framework is in place. Now we can revisit it in a responsible way and say, okay, now we understand what we can do. Here's the ramifications. Here's where the state's position on this, and really take a very methodical approach to doing it instead of being rushed into this August deadline. I think that puts us in a terrible position.
But we're not rushing to August.
there's no rush.
Now. We're
What
talking
rush?
about
The knee-jerk reaction would be to outright ban something.
So to speak to that, Mr. Van Eck, I would support banning it so we can have that discussion for the entire year.
I would support beginning to take leadership for our community to craft an ordinance based on those industrial zones, the map outlay that Mr. Yakimic talked about, the different things, to take option number 2, and to be pro-growth for our community. And if you have other pro-growth, Councilman Pignatelli, Councilman Kamala, ideas for our industrial parks or industrial zones, if you have other ideas for industries we can bring in to generate that type of revenue and rateable for our community, I'd love to hear them.
Yeah, but Mr. Van Eck, you're really rushing into this. You're rushing into
We're not
this.
rushing into it, we're talking about it. That's what we want to do. We want to talk about
I
it.
want to begin to craft an ordinance allowing for the, like I said here, let me pull it back up.
Cultivation.
The
manufacturing.
cultivation, manufacturing, processing, storing, warehousing, and wholesale in those industrial zones, and then as well retail sale based on that map that Mr. Yakimic described.
What's the mechanism for collecting taxes, Mr. Van Eck? If we don't know, how is this going to be reported to the state and tracked? We don't know. So my question to you is, if we put an ordinance, if we continue down this road without understanding how we can even collect the money, where are we?
So we're going to knee-jerk ban something instead of taking leadership to craft
No,
something that would work for Oakland?
Don't twist my words. My words are very simple. We put the ban in place so that we can be very methodical. You can build your case, Mr. Van Eck, working with the planning board and what other committees are involved with this, so we can just work through a very methodical.
If we have till August, why ban it? Why not start working on something now, and then in a few months we can see where we are?
But you can start working on it now, even if we ban it. This way, nobody's in a rush to get this done.
What's the purpose of banning then?
Because it buys us time.
We have plenty of time. We have till August. It's only April.
Well, if I may, I would leave this on the work session agenda for every meeting, because
Good idea.
the ordinance will have to be adopted by August.
Yeah.
And my recommendation is that if something's going to be done in terms of an ordinance, that ordinance be introduced either the second meeting of May or the first meeting of June. Again, the ordinance is going to be referred to the planning board because it's a zoning ordinance. So although August sounds like it's a long way away, it's not.
It's
We
also
know
not,
our planning board
but
is
it's
in
also
right here.
not
unanimous support.
tomorrow, Brian. This is the first time we're really going into depth talking about it. I don't want to rush to just ban everything tonight or to say, open
And
up
we
every-
know our planning board has sent 2 letters to the council expressing their unanimous support of having an ordinance crafted, allowing for it all.
But we still have to refer it to the planning board to meet the statutory requirements.
So I'd like to bring this up again at the next council meeting during work session. I
Okay,
would like all
Okay.
of you to speak to residents. I am asking all residents who are listening, and we will get the word out. Please contact us on your opinion. There are different licenses we could allow, and they are commercial, retail. That is selling to retail, like a storefront. Cultivation, that's the growing of the plants. Manufacturing and processing, that's where they make, I guess, the brownies and whatever they make. I don't know. I don't know. And wholesale. And what is your opinion? Do you think that we should allow it? Do you think we should ban it all? Do you think we should ban everything but retail? Do you think that just the 1% wholesale is not worth it? Don't allow wholesale. So that's what we need to hear from everybody. There's 7 of us with our opinions, but we want to hear the town's opinions as to what you think. And I'm just going to leave with one story. Back in I think it was in the 80s, or I don't know when IBM was first went into Franklin Lakes, but they initially, I was told, this is before my time, I was told they originally approached Oakland about coming to the industrial park into Oakland. And they said, no, we don't want industry. So what did they do? They ended up building this beautiful IBM campus at Franklin Lakes. And that was the beginning of their commercial ratables, which is why their tax base is so wonderful compared to our tax base. So don't rush to say no, or don't rush to say yes. Think of the pros and the cons of all the different kinds of licenses. You may be so against retail, but an indoor greenhouse of marijuana, which won't even affect you, maybe that's a good idea. Or you may say, you know what, retail is good because of all the people I know that need medical marijuana, they could just go and get their medical needs done, especially if you're a cancer patient. I am told that is, I don't know.
And Mayor, we're only talking about a limited
indoor
area,
cultivation of
which
cannabis.
we're
And
talking about
Out west,
hemp.
what they've seen is that.
Wait a
there's
minute, no,
literally-
Pat, Grant was talking and then you could come on.
Councilman Pignatelli has a seniority. He can go ahead.
Oh, he gave you, I'm not going to say age, no.
Yeah, Councilman Grant, go ahead.
you got a senior waiver.
No, he's saying age, young age first. He's saying Grant.
No, and the only thing I was saying when you said about indoor cultivation, and I don't want to make another argument, but I just heard last week in the newspaper that what they're seeing is an increase in greenhouse gases where they are using indoor cultivation of cannabis.
Do you have that report?
It was in the paper last week. I don't have it with me now. Go ahead, Councilman.
And also, Mayor, we're also going to be receiving a lot more information from the league in regards to this matter
absolutely.
as well.
I told you he spoke to the mayors on Tuesday morning at 7:30.
Yep.
I was
Like
up.
I said, there'll be more information coming through the league, and I think it's we should probably have put a link from our website to their presentation instead of just saying these are your 4 options. If the people are going to learn about this and understand it, maybe they go to the league website and start looking at the materials there and really
I
understand.
also
what's
am
at
on the
stake.
legislative committee of the league. I didn't know if you knew that.
Fantastic. That's
yes.
great. So
Yes.
that means you're well in the know. So that's good.
Plus, I'm going to all these prosecutors on prosecuting. But anyway, Grant, you were speaking.
I just want to make sure we also realize that we're talking about too is an industry related to hemp, which is used in many, many products, and CBD, which is something that's completely legal and has been for a long time. and is both of those industries have been massively growing. So this also pertains to that, not just the marijuana that you were describing, Mayor. Just wanted to make sure
Yes.
we include that in our thought process, that those are two elements of what we're discussing that are increasingly growing industries.
But I
We
have,
should call it cannabis.
I have a question about that, Councilman Van Eck.
Sure.
Can you
Forgot
separate
it.
the two, CBD and THC, so that you only grow CBD?
My understanding of it, and I stopped into a store, a CBD store,
Ooh.
and talked to them because I was out doing some shopping down in Main Street, and I talked to the person at the CBD store. And again, I'm not an expert on this, but I will continue to learn, as we all will, on this subject, like we did with COVID. Who knew I would know as much as I did about quarantine and guidelines over the course of a year? So we're going to continue to learn, educate ourselves. My understanding is it's the same thing, but what they do is they extract the THC for CBD, and then hemp is just a raw material product that they use for things such as rope, paper, containers, packaging, and all those types of things. And
What
those
do they
are
do with the THC.
I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I understand what you're saying about the CBD. I understand that the hemp, there's a lot of multiple uses. I agree. But if the THC could be separated out, maybe I wouldn't have as much doubt in it.
Yeah, we'll learn more. We'll learn together, Councilman Pignatelli.
Thank you. Okay.
All I gotta say is one
I just
thing.
Googled it.
Mayor?
Yes.
Yeah, all I gotta say is one thing. It's being used in our town right now. Everyone knows it. It's being used
Yes.
medically and it's being used recreationally. Now it's being used, that means it's being sold in our town. It's being sold illegally. So putting a tax on it is beneficial to the entire community of something that it's already going on here.
But it's legal.
Yeah,
I know.
I don't understand your argument, but that's okay.
It's not an argument. It's just saying that we should put ourselves in position to accept the revenue that would be generated by the tax. And every person in town that pays that tax bill is saying, yay, yay, yay. I've been texted about 12 times already tonight.
I agree with you
Based on-
100% as long as we proceed cautiously.
Exactly.
Well, that's why we're not rushing to do
And
anything.
that's why an outright ban is insane.
Well, right now, I'm asking you before the next council meeting, which will be on the work session again, to please reach out to residents. Residents, please reach out to us with your opinions, with your suggestions. If you have more information than we do and your knowledge, we want to hear it. So please contact us.
and we don't want to hear from just one side. We want to hear from both sides.
That's
Oh,
correct.
you will. I'm sure you will, Pat.
Especially with an 1,855 vote swing in favor in our town.
Yeah, but did they say do it here in Oakland? No.
They said to legalize it.
All right.
Legalize it in the state. They didn't say legalize it here in Oakland with stores.
Okay. So it'll be on the agenda again for the next work session.
Mhm.
New business. Does anybody have any new business since we're not doing bylaws? New business.
I do.
Yes.
Okay. Just give me a second here. So I didn't want to put this in my council liaison report. I wanted to pull this out into new business because I think it's important that we recognize our youth athletes in our town. Just want to congratulate our champion junior division Oakland Braves roller hockey team.
Wow.
Saturday, March 27th, they won the North Jersey Youth Roller Hockey Association Championship. It's amazing. Hooray, hip, hip, hooray. For they are jolly good fellows, right? We should celebrate this incredible accomplishment as they are the first Oakland roller hockey team that has won a championship. I would love to have them at a future council meeting. This is different. It's virtual. My suggestion would be to work with the Recreation Commission, which I'm the liaison, to have them at a council meeting where potentially we could have the youth at the roller rink where we're streaming
I have a
this.
suggestion.
The mayor could call off their names and someone like our Commissioner Dr. Guadagnino could be handing out certificates, that there'd be a way we could figure out how to do this. And I'd like to
Are
do
we
that.
allowed to have an outdoor council meeting? Brian? You're on
Yeah.
mute.
You could have an outdoor council meeting.
Maybe we could have a council meeting by the roller hockey ring one night and stuff, when the weather gets warm.
Only understand that if you have an outdoor council meeting, you have the logistics of recordation, public participation, and the like.
Well, I think we could do something where we stream it and connect that way. And I'd like to plant that and say we should plan to do that soon. So it's
Sounds
timely.
good.
And then one more thing for new business. I just want to bring up, this is something I've been thinking about a lot. We talked a little bit about adaptive traffic control and that technology, but I really want to talk about, I sent something to Michael Corelli this week, actually 2 things related to T-Mobile and some grants and some proposals we may want to submit. What does the future look like for a smart borough? How do we really look into how Oakland prospers within the technological space that is coming up? How do we leverage technology to make Oakland smarter, which I know from other things with working with the budget, when we've adapted things with our lighting, we've saved money. And those are real permanent savings in our budget going forward. And that has been great being a part of the finance committee and dealing with those permits. So to me, technology being smarter equals financial savings. And I really want us to continue to look into different things we can do in leveraging technology to bring Oakland on the forefront of the future technologically and how we can increase our cost savings.
All right, well, speak to
Just-
Michael and come up with something, to present.
So just maybe under new business, the public events question about having the carnival.
Stop a
public-
minute, stop. I got a response from the governor's rep,
Okay,
all right? You want to bring up about the carnival.
yes.
She wrote back, "Hi, Mayor, I don't have," you ready for this? I knew this was going to be the answer. "I don't have any information regarding guidance for summer activities at this time. I will let you know when I know more." Does that help you?
Oh, yes, that's amazing.
Crystal clear.
Typical
Right.
code.
Democratic talk, yeah.
So the Public Events Committee would like to have the carnival. They have the dates of June 23rd through the 26th. The carnival vendor has sent a package with requirements, COVID requirements. That 1/3 the ridership on a ride. And different things that they would do. I wasn't able to read the email because I got it right before the meeting. But the public events is looking for some guidance in are we interested in going forward? Any kind of input that we could give to them. Just where do you think we stand as a borough for having the carnival?
Well, we got no guidance from Trenton.
I think it's a great idea to have the carnival.
I agree. I think we should, if Trent allows it, definitely move forward.
I think what public events has to do is what was suggested. They reach out to the different organizations, see if anybody wants to participate or not. Or they say absolutely not, and give them a deadline, because you're going to have to know soon, right? I assume.
Yeah, the sooner the better is that's the problem. And so I mean, maybe if Rich, maybe if you got in touch with the Chopper, and maybe he reaches, you could set up a meeting with I guess the Board of Health and maybe the chief and
Chopper had sent me the I think probably the same materials that he had sent you. Didn't have a chance to review them today. I'll try to do that tomorrow, and I'll talk with him about reaching out, about reaching out to the organizations to gauge their interest. And again, it's just really tenuous without knowing what the capacity limit's going to be.
Is,
we could do all the planning, and at the last minute, they could come in and say, nope, it's still 200 people or whatever, and that'll pose another challenge. But, we'll look into it some more. So if it is something that we can do safe and responsibly, we'll try to make that happen.
Okay, thank you.
Mayor, I have
I'd
one
like to
thing.
point out that the purpose of the carnival, is for recreational reasons. I understand that, but the main thing is that the 501(c)(3), this is their main fundraiser of the year. So without them, is it really sensible to have a carnival for just rides? So it's important to get that information.
Okay.
Oh, so you're saying that if Chopper finds out that most of the organizations don't want to participate, do you think that there should still be a carnival with just rides? Is that your question?
Yeah. Yes.
Well, that's a question Rich posed to Chopper.
Yeah.
Right.
I think it's a great idea to have the carnival. We need this. This is exactly what we need.
And Eric started speaking until
Yes.
Pat interrupted him.
Yes. Mayor, I want to, under new business, I want to revisit, we had a very successful OEM meeting in person down at the senior center.
Oh, wait a minute. Are we finished with the carnival?
Just with the carnival, just let me say, I think it's important to have the carnival. I just seeing with how important sports were to my family during this whole COVID thing. We were able to do things with other people. It was just amazing. And a carnival anyone could go to. You don't have to be, a baseball player, a basketball player, football player. Anyone could go to a carnival and have fun. And I think if we could do this, I think it would be a great boost for the community. So just my thoughts there.
Well, Richard, tell Chopper that most of the council is in agreement with him. It's just a matter of
Logistics.
the question was what Pat said. Is it worth having a carnival? Are they willing to have a carnival without the booths? I don't know what the Boy Scouts are. Those are all young kids working there.
It'll come down to money too. If we can't make money with the carnival, because that's what we make money.
Just to understand, Russell, right? We get a certain percentage of the sales on the rides. That's a big source of income. Goes to offset the fireworks. Goes to offset the large chunk of the carnival cost. Not all of it. There's certain expenses that we would have on the DPW side and the police side, whether one person shows up or 1,000 people show up.
Right.
That I think kind of plays into this too. I think there isn't much of a business case to be made here this year. That isn't why you would be doing it. If we were going to go ahead.
Okay.
Okay, now Eric.
Okay, thank you, Mayor. I just want to circle back real quick. We had a very successful OEM meeting at the senior center last week, and we had close to 20 people there. I think it's really time to revisit getting council meetings back open in the public and move away from the Zoom at this point. And I'd like to see a plan moving forward to maybe get us back into the senior center sometime in May, either the first or second week, so we can really start servicing the community properly instead of constantly using the Zoom technology.
Except I think there are problems with Brian. Where's Brian? Brian, are you there?
I'm here.
Isn't there some kind of rule with the public meeting?
We need to have, we got to have uniform rules. If we're going to do it, the public can be invited. I see some communities doing some hybrids, but we should be able to accommodate the public. I know Rich was looking into the logistics.
Well, we had looked into two different plans last year. One involving the council chambers, going back there, would not provide much in the way of public in person. Zoom would have worked. We were working on details of that. We also looked at using the senior center. That was a little bit more difficult to make the Zoom work because of the setup. You're not there proximate to the control room. You could have some public there, but as we had looked at the guidance from DLGS that came out as we were doing all of this, it pretty clearly said, if you're going to have in person, you have to provide for the normal sort of public capacity that you would have at a public meeting. We can't do that in either venue while there are social distancing restrictions in place. And that's where we had kind of left it. And to this point, the state has not changed any of that. So I don't know that we're any further along than we were, back in the fall, the last time that we looked at this.
Mr. Chakowski, are any towns having in-person meetings?
Union City has has had some planning board in-person meetings. Wayne conducts some executive sessions in person, but excludes the public. They open, they'll have it on Zoom just for the public participation reasons. I'm trying to think. None of my other clients are fully open.
Is it simply by choice, or is it an edict from Trenton?
As right now, it's similar to what problems we are encountering here. It's logistics. The facilities just aren't large enough.
Okay.
I know when the mayor mentioned outdoor meetings, Bound Brook has outdoor meetings.
Oh, so what happens with the rain?
I found that.
We'll sit with umbrellas.
I mean, is this something we can do if we met in the firehouse bays where people could be outside with extended seating? We could be inside. I mean, is that something that's an option?
I would say everything's an option, but the two concerns are A, can the public be accommodated with
Right.
appropriate social distancing? And number two, can we record the meeting appropriately?
And what happens if there's a fire?
Well, we're in the firehouse. Trucks are outside.
Yeah, but the people running around, you have to run and they get their trucks out.
We can work around that. So I guess the question
I
is,
think that I always thought that the best place was the senior center, but you're saying that we can't even accommodate at the senior center according to the guidelines.
and that's why.
So
I'm
it's like
trying out-
everything else, we have to wait for more guidelines.
Well, no, hang on a second. With the firehouse, we can open up the bay doors. Okay, so now you've got full ventilation. You've got doors in the back. You've got a very large garage. Just throwing. I'm just brainstorming. If there's something else we can do to try and move this on. If we can't get it done in May, how about June? We need to we want to have the carnival. We want to start moving forward. I just want to see if we can. I hate to see another year of this. That's all. At least
Well,
plan.
I am not comfortable going in council chambers. So I
Agreed.
would stay on Zoom if we had to go to council chambers. But I felt very comfortable in the senior center because there was also windows that we could open. But Richard said we couldn't do it logistically. So we'll have to wait and see what's you just got. I just read you the text I got about outdoor activities from the governor's rep. They don't know at this time. When they know, they'll let us know.
Okay, but we can still plan. So when we get
can.
when we get the green light, we could just move ahead. Okay.
Those who fail to plan to fail.
I have that in my office. Was that Benjamin Franklin?
I don't know.
Yes, I think so.
I just one of those things I heard, and I just appreciate
I have
Council
the quote.
President
I
Kamala's
told-
leadership on this.
I tell my mock trial team that's the first thing I tell them in the beginning. If you fail to plan, you are planning to fail. That's the quote.
Well, then it was said by Linda Schwager, not Benjamin Franklin. Sign it.
Probably, right? Okay, any other new business? Old business? Are you
Yes,
bringing up your old business?
yes, I have old business.
Yes.
Still excited to look forward to popping the cork on an opportunity for our community, economic growth as well, we hope. Seven Tribesmen in Wayne, if anybody's been there, that's a new one. It's an awesome brewery. But today I wanted, because we did discuss breweries, we did get a report from Steve Leiden regarding zoning for distilleries. And real quick, because it's already been a long meeting, and I would really hope this could be on the agenda next time so we could begin with everyone's support crafting an ordinance related to the breweries, which we discussed already, and distilleries, which I will briefly give a quick overview. We could discuss more next meeting. Plenary distillery license, limited distillery license, and craft distillery license. Those are the three. And this is, all these things are actually, talk about restaurants a lot and what they've gone through the past year. These are good for restaurants. People who go and visit these places can order takeout. You are prohibited from selling food or operating a restaurant on any of these premises. So I really hope that our governing body will consider a zoning amendment permitting distilleries, breweries in Oakland, in the industrial districts. Again, a great area of focus for growth for our community for ratables. And I just think these are not appropriate for residential zones. That's also my belief on this. I think it's something we really got to come together and do. And I just wanted to mention that briefly. There's a lot more detail we
And
could
the
hopefully
planning
talk
board
about
was favorable.
in a work session next meeting, if it could be on the agenda.
Grant, you didn't tell them the planning board felt favorably on this.
Same thing with marijuana, very favorably and big support of this idea. And look forward to working with all of you and discussing. Please look at the letter sent by Steve Lyden and going into more details about those 3 types of licenses for distilleries, in addition to what we already discussed with breweries.
I have an
Thank
old
you.
business.
What else?
I have an old business.
Go ahead.
John Yakimic, I didn't forget about you. Thank you for the report.
Well, wait a minute. Did he forget about you?
Maybe.
John did send out his report on the Monhegan Avenue parking issue. I don't want to take your thunder away from you, John, but if I understood your report correctly, if we allowed parking on one side of the street, we would have to expand the pavement. We would have to do away with the striping in the middle, or correctly. So if you could just, and you did, and I think you did give a cost estimate too. So maybe you could fill the council in and the public too, if they're listening, regarding Monhegan Avenue.
Sure. So in order to support the parking, we would need a width. We would need to widen Monhegan. We would need to install curbing on both sides of the street, because now, as a result of parking on one side, the traveling way is a lot closer to sidewalks, and the curbing acts as a barrier.
Don, let me stop you for a minute.
Yeah.
Monhegan from where to where?
This would be from Manitou to, I think it was Pawnee that we looked at. It was just one short segment. This was the area where the density of the houses are, I would say, the highest. In other words, they're very close to one another. It would be the area of Monhegan that would most need on-street parking. But at the end of the day, the cost was roughly $75,000 in order to make these improvements. And it also created more problems in that with on-street parking, it now creates situations where people have to go and basically jaywalk to get to their vehicles, open car doors, etc. I took a draft of this report. I sent it to the police department. They agreed with our concerns. So at the end of the day, there's sufficient parking on the side streets for visitors that are allowed. So if there are parties or anything happening on the weekends, there's sufficient parking on the side streets that come off of Monhegan where the residents could use those side streets. So the cost benefit was not there. It created more safety concerns as a result of this. And so the recommendation was that it was really not warranted at that location to solve this concern about not having enough parking for visitors or the like. Their driveways are very accommodating. They're quite long. Typically, the driveways in this area accommodate upwards of 3 cars. So that's essentially the report, Mayor and
So you're
Councilman.
saying 75,000 for the Monhegan between Manitou and Poigny.
Yes, that's what it would
What
cost.
about going to Chickasaw and Algonquin?
Well, obviously the cost would go up.
But you didn't. But the
I
roadway
did-
widens.
Yeah, I did not look at that area because in those areas, the lots are much larger. The driveways are much larger and the need for on-street parking becomes less as you move northward on Monhegan.
And then if you go from Poigny down towards Oneida,
I think the
that's
road,
where the houses are very close.
yeah, and I think the road gets narrower there.
Yeah.
Yes, the road gets narrower, and you know, that wasn't the area of study, you know, as a result of the residents that came to the meeting several meetings ago.
All right. Any questions for John Yakimic? I guess not.
Thank you, John, for a thorough report. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Councilman.
Any other old business? Well, since Councilor Pignatelli, you were on, do you want to start the council reports?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. For the senior citizens, they have extended an additional day of sit, stand, and move to the calendar on Fridays at 1 p.m. Trained volunteer from the state health insurance program will be available on a one-on-one appointment to assist with questions about Medicare. Appointments are run from 9:30 a.m. to 11 a.m. and can be made by calling the Senior Center at 201-405-7731. The book club will be held April 22nd at 1 p.m. on both Zoom and in person. Please see the Senior Citizen Center to pick up a book or arrange one to be delivered if you cannot leave your home. The Senior Citizen Center will hold a movie day at the Senior Center on Thursday, April 29th at 1 p.m. The movie is called All My Life, which is a romantic drama based on a true story. Please call the Senior Center to reserve a seat. For the first aid, year to date, they had 118 calls. Hours to date, 236 hours for on calls, and hours for standby, 1,733 hours. The Board of Health meeting is going to be April the 20th at 7:30 p.m. And I believe that's all I have, Mayor.
Thank you. Councilman Kumal is next to him on the squares. You're on mute.
Good call. Okay. Great Oak Park. Just want to report that, as I discussed last month, they have installed the benches around a great lawn. Also, the dog park is progressing very well. The fencing has been installed. Well, the plantings have been put in place, and also the membrane is down for the chips or wood chips that are going to be that the dogs run on. The dog park licensing opens on Monday. It's going to be $10 for residents, $20 for non-residents. For more information, go to Oakland Rec or go to the Borough website to find that information. There's also going to be a dog park grand opening on May 8th at 1 p.m. And the rain date is May 9th at 1 p.m. People are asked to register and adhere to capacity limits for the Oakland Dog Park, and just follow it on the Oakland Dog Park social media for more information. Zoning Board of Adjustment. I know residents have been pretty frustrated with how slowly some of the permitting process has been going on. So the Zoning Board of Adjustment has identified the issues. There's been an unprecedented building boom in Oakland, which is really a good thing, and renovations that are taking place. And a lot of that really came out of the COVID and new people moving into town. And also the COVID virus itself also created problems where the zoning board could not meet in person. So they had to meet virtually, and they had to adhere to new rules that came out of Trenton and everything else like that. So there's a learning curve. So the good news is They are now getting caught up, and this is their action plan moving forward. The board is addressing the application backups by adding additional hearing dates. The first special meeting will be May 20th to start moving this backlog of applications forward. They've also streamlined the internal process to move the applications faster through the bureaucracy of the borough. And they will also they'll be looking at the metrics for the amount of applications coming in. And if they require more meetings, they will set up more special meetings to address the backlog and continue to move forward. We also attended an OEM meeting last week. This included the department heads from the police, fire, EMS, the schools, both regional and the local, DPW, and also members of private industry. And it was really just a recap and review of all the COVID-related issues that all the departments have faced, and then how the Oakland really stepped to the challenge of dealing with the COVID pandemic. Green Team. Last Saturday, there was the Roots for Rivers invasive species plant removal that took place at Great Oak Park. I also did attend and got a little mucking in the river down there with members of the Green Team. And I got to tell you, this is a really active group of people. Where they really got in there, got dirty, and the idea is to pull the invasive species in. Then next month they're going to be planting new trees for the stabilization and then for the park. Also, April 17th, couple dates, 10 a.m., as the mayor alluded to, is going to be the community garden ribbon cutting. Same day, April 17th at 12 p.m. till 3 p.m., the invasive plant removal is going to be taking place down at the Roosevelt Fields. And if people that want to volunteer their time can meet at 84 Roosevelt. So if you can donate several hours of your time to help with this, wear some boots, bring some gloves, and bring some cutters. Also, April 18th, Sunday, is going to be another invasive species plant removal. This will take place 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. at Great Oak Park. For more information, go to the Borough website. Also, the Green Team is working on the Arts Amble, which I announced a couple weeks ago. And they now have a location for the Arts Amble. It's going to be held at the Oakland Public Library. It'll be June 11th through the 13th. And right now they're looking for all local artists. If you're a visual person, a performer, a musician, a sculptor, they want to hear from you so that you can present your wares during this festival from the 11th to the 13th. For more information, email Oakland Arts Council at gmail.com. Once again, that's Oakland Arts Council at gmail.com. And also, once again, this is posted on the Borough website. And with that, that's my report, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, next to you is Councilor Bialy.
How you doing, Mayor? Thank you so much. Water and sewer. I know I received a couple emails today regarding what happened up at the sewer plant near the homes of Sarah Michelle and Rachel Gregory, and they notified me. I didn't even know it until I received their emails, and then I did my investigation with Rich. We found out that the April 5th event was triggered by what they're saying was a grease pack in the line, and that was easily taken care of. Obviously, we're still waiting for the relining of these lines, and today's incident was caused by what we suspect to be tree roots, and that's exactly what the lining of the pipe will prevent from happening. It won't break into the lines at areas of connection, or it won't break into lines just because the tree roots do that, and they won't be able to break the plastic insert. So today, the actual backup that went into one home wasn't caused by the incident, but it was caused by the pressure that was being released to try to clear the area. Tomorrow, they're coming back with a mini fisheye lens, and they're going to re-TV the line to make sure everything is out of there, so it won't happen again, at least until we get those lines lined in plastic. So those are the issues that were asked about today. I had to find out about it because I didn't know either. So hopefully everything is now under control. And as far as the relining goes, the issue is that we have some of the sewer lines are actually not in the street, but they go through the backyard areas of homes. So where one backyard hits another backyard, right underneath there on the property line is where the sewer line is. And in order to reline the pipes, we have to get into the manholes. And over the years, residents have taken to building sheds, as we all do. It's not uncommon on your own property to build a shed or to build a fence. Anyway, there are 4 or 5 locations. And from what I understand from our engineer and from our attorney, and if they want to chime in, they're working on this, trying to resolve the issue so we can have access to the manholes where we have to have access to install the relining of the pipes. So hopefully that'll be happening as quickly as we can get through the easement issue. On the Rampo Valley Road sidewalk, John Yakimic is also working with Brian Chakowski and establishing the easements necessary for the installation. And obviously it's time consuming, and we've gone through a little bit of a break because some of our people had COVID that were working on this, and we're back to working full time again on it. I also took a look on an area on Powder Mill that the mayor gave me, and I took a ride down all the way down Powder Mill and up, and John Yakimic could take a look at this too, but I know the street is newly paved, but I know it's a dangerous location where it turns towards Courthouse Place. It's like an S-hook, and there's no place to walk. And I can imagine anybody attempting to walk there would have some difficulty. But I do see an opportunity to put a sidewalk in on the outermost region of that turn along the back side of the wall where there's no residence homes there. But I think a sidewalk might be able to fit so you can walk safely on a sidewalk rather than having to walk into the street. And I'd like our engineer to look at that as well. Historical and cultural, Margaret Hickey is working on a rendition for the replacement building at the site of the old stream house. And I'm still looking for volunteers to serve on the committee. Myself, the mayor, and Russell, and a member of the historic committee are already members. And we're looking for additional people to serve as just idea people and putting this whole thing together. And again, I'm asking our landscapers in town to try to get involved with this. We're going to have a landscape plan, and hopefully some of our local landscapers can offer some of their hard work and volunteering to take a piece of the landscape plan and install it as we build the new building to replace the stream house. As we heard tonight, one of the resolutions we passed, Lewis Graham was decided to be the lowest responsible bidder, and they will be doing the interior of the Van Allen house, including mold remediation and the required restoration work upstairs. And the remainder of the work on the lower left-hand side of the building will be done as a phase 2. Rampo River Bridge replacement. I was happy to hear us going after the earmark for both the bridge and for the project of decommissioning. One is $4.5 million, 4.5, and one is 4.2. The bridge is 4.2. The decommissioning is 4.5, and hopefully we'll be lucky enough to win that funding source and help us with our tax base. I believe That's all I have tonight. Sidewalk historic, decommissioning project. That's it, Mayor. I appreciate
Thank you.
I'm just trying to keep everything, because we have different things coming in at different times. As far as my report was done, and all of a sudden this afternoon, we got alerted about the issue with the break in the line with sewer water rushing to the surface. So it's been addressed, and as I said, we're going to TV the line again tomorrow. I hope that answers all the questions that were put out. If you have any more, please email me. I'll try to answer it as best I can.
And Councilman Van Eck is next to you.
All right, thank you, Mayor. I want to mention what you brought up at the beginning of the meeting for Shade Tree Commission's report, which is that we were the Tree City USA community, one of 3,600 in the United States of America, and this is part of the Arbor Day Foundation, which has 4 criteria. I don't think you covered the 4 criteria that makes you receive such a recognition, which is 1, have a tree border department, 2, have a tree care ordinance, which we discussed amending last meeting, but we do have one on the books, an annual community forestry budget of at least $2 per capita, and the fourth qualification is to have an Arbor Day observance and proclamation. So being that Arbor Day is always the last Friday of April, that would be April 23rd this year. Hopefully we'll have something on the agenda for next meeting to have a proclamation observance for our community for Arbor Day. So in 2021, we can receive the same recognition, which is a great honor. We all know it's a beautiful town, and it's a great recognition. Recreation, you did mention pickleball, so I'll bring that up. But first, I want to say that the baseball and softball parade is canceled this year. The fact that there's no social distance type of event. Instead, on June 5th at 9 a.m., the Recreation Commission and the Sports Association of Oakland will hold the annual Hall of Fame event where 3 nominees, Bill Savage, Dan Altana, and Howie Levine, will be inducted. There'll be announcements in the coming weeks on that. So congratulations to the nominees, their friends and family. It's a incredible recognition. We have our many top-notch summer sports camps and clinics now holding registrations. These include baseball, basketball, football, and softball. The volleyball camp and summer camp are presently holding signups. Visit oaklandrec.org for all of this information. The Pickleball Program will run. The registration is ongoing throughout the season, and that will run until June. oaklandrec.org for information on pickleball. And again, congratulations to our junior division Oakland Braves roller hockey team. That's just awesome. That's great news. The OCC report, always looking for volunteers. Email me, vanek@oakland-nj.org. Always looking for music for the background for our bulletin board that plays. I want to mention that with the weather warming, activities ramping up, residents are asked to consider recording these events and then submitting them to air on Oakland TV. As unwatchable as Channel 77 is, which is a continued disappointment for me and the commission and anyone who has to observe Channel 77 on Cablevision. Not that anybody needs to see this face, but still, it's terrible. But we have the YouTube channel and Verizon. You can upload your videos through an online submission on our OCC webpage. So if you go to the Borough website, go to the OCC webpage, you can upload this video, and then it would be great to air these types of activities and sporting events. So you're a parent, you're a spectator, this is something that you can do. You got a baseball game, a nature walk in Great Oak Park, fishing, whatever. We'd love to see your submissions. More content for Oakland TV is a good thing for everybody. Next meeting is on Monday, May 3rd.
Thank you.
And I just want to reiterate how important it is to vote. The more I'm involved on the finance side of things as a councilman, the more you come to understand the majority of the school budget and your property taxes, the budget coming up for school board, the majority is the schools, and the budget vote is this Tuesday. So, think about that. And I have a deeper and deeper understanding and appreciation for how it all works. So please vote on Tuesday. It's very important. And then last thing, I just need to disclose, I am a Knight of Columbus. I'm a member of the Ramapo Valley Council, Knights of Columbus 5846. This month, something incredible that's very near and dear to my heart is going on. Last week, it was at W's. Today, it's at Cucina 347. This is a Dine to Donate program for 3 amazing charities for special needs children. And 20% of all the funds of the purchases, which helps the local restaurants, and it helps these 3 great charities, the CTC Academy in Oakland, the Mary Therese Rose Fund in Wanacue, and the Camp Acorn in Allendale are the 3 beneficiaries. 100% of the proceeds from that 20% of your order every Wednesday at the participating restaurants is going to support these 3 charities. And I just think that's a beautiful thing. So I wanted to bring that up. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. All right, Kevin, you're next. I'm going up across. Russ is last tonight.
Thank you, Mayor. Let's see, first up, the library is applying for the CARES grant. The CARES grant supports the role of public libraries in responding to the coronavirus pandemic by improving access to technology for library patrons. 2, the front doors have been repaired and are working well. Also, the library has a new product. It's called ProQuest. It's really cool, and it's looking it over. It's available on the library homepage. ProQuest gives residents with a library card access to scholarly journals for research purposes. In addition, this online resource provides access to the New York Times, the Washington Post, and exclusive access to the Wall Street Journal, the Los Angeles Times, and the Chicago Tribune. The content is available by 8 a.m. each day and provides archives stretching back as far back as 1980. Lastly, the library is fully open and functional. Services available inside, or you can pick up your items curbside. Just call or email ahead. That's all I have.
Thank you. And Councilman Talmini.
Thank you. So the schools, just remember to vote on Tuesday, April 20th from 2 p.m. to 8 p.m. The voting is District 1 and 2 is at Valley Middle School. District 3 and 4 is at the Senior Center. District 5 and 6 is at Heights, and District 7 and 8 are at Manitou. Just it's important to vote whenever you can vote. That's I don't understand why people don't vote. So please get out there and vote. It's one of the most important things you can do as a citizen. And then public events. I mentioned about the carnival. They want to have the carnival. So if we could do that, that would be great. They meet on the second Monday of every month. Oh, they had the Easter egg hunt. I wasn't able to attend, but
it was great.
I was told it was great. And that's just they did it with the cars. The public events they want to do things. So even with this carnival, they're going to find a way to do it. We had an Easter egg hunt in cars. Who would have thought? The public events is a great group of people. They do so much. They're a part of so much that goes on in town. And if you could volunteer to be a member of it, that would be great. That's about it. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you.
Mayor, I just have one correction.
Yeah.
I made a mistake in my report. With the Zoning Board of Adjustments, the additional meeting, the first additional meeting is April 20th, not May 20th.
Week.
Next week. Yeah, I just want to let everybody know the sense of urgency is being addressed. It's next week. That's all. Thank you, Mayor.
Okay. With that, I'll entertain a motion to open to the public.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Michael.
If you wish to provide public comment, please click the raise your hand icon or *9 on a mobile phone. Mayor Rachel Gregory.
You're muted, Rachel. Now you're unmuted.
Iowa Terrace. Hi. So you wanted feedback on cannabis, the cannabis discussion. discussion.
Yes.
So I totally support it. Retail, wholesale, greenhouses, whatever it may be. I think if it will lower our taxes, that's great. I think there's a misconception about the type of people who would go to a pot shop. I think, listen, we have a DMV in this town. I mean, it can't, I don't think we have anything to worry about. And all the liquor stores, I'd be happy to get rid of a liquor store, put in a pot shop, okay? We don't need 10 liquor stores in town.
That's right.
So that's my 2 cents on that. And I would like to say to the council and the mayor, if you spent a quarter, an eighth of the time you spent talking about cannabis to talk about sewers, I would be so grateful. I think 99% of the people who are on this Zoom right now are on the Zoom because they want to hear about the sewers. And, we endure the hours of talk about chickens and, cannabis
And trees.
dogs and trees. And, we get very little about sewers. It's really killing us. I just want to say that it's not just me who had sewer backup today on April 5th. It's my neighbor on one side who had it. It's my neighbor on the other side whose laundry room backed up 3 times this week. Okay.
I'm going to just break our rule. Could you please tell us, because I just want to make this announcement. John Bialy, our borough administrator, and I learned about it today from an email. Who did you call on April 5th?
I was my whole family was out of town. So we didn't call anybody, but my neighbor, I don't like to give people's names because I don't want to invade their privacy, called, I guess, DPW and notified them.
Thank you.
And they came and they dealt with it. And the guys who were here today said that it was roots last time and it was roots this time. And the roots are directly related to the fact that the pipes were not relined. And Sarah Michelle, had this issue 2 years ago in 2019, the same exact issue. And here we are 2 years later being told about the pipes and it's not being done. So this is like really horrible for us to be talking about this. I wish I could talk about cannabis all day long, okay? But this is really an issue that's affecting us. And then the summer's coming, and now I'm being told that by the time this all goes down, the pipes are going to be relined in the summer. My backyard is going to be ripped up, but we don't really know. There's not a lot of information out there. When is it going to happen? How is it going to affect us? How long is it going to take? There's so many questions that are outstanding that people want to know about. That's why we're on these Zooms, and we would just love to hear the details. We're here for tell us the minutia. Tell us, we're here. We want it. We want to listen. So that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mayor Katrine Beck.
Good evening. Katrine Beck, 8 Chapel Hill. I just wanted to follow up on a prior question I had with respect to whether the town would be looking into hiring a grant writer or somebody who would potentially help us with these grants that we're going after. I'm thrilled that we have the opportunities and it looks like we are well on our way to applying for it. I see there's precedence for it in the town since we have hired somebody to write it for the Van Allen House. Wondering if somebody can comment on that. And also to let you know, contrary to Rachel, although we agree on sewer, I disagree on the cannabis, but I fully support breweries coming into town.
Thank you.
Mayor, I see no one further.
Motion to close.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Bills to be paid. Councilman.
Bills to be paid, $588,955.39. So moved.
Second.
Any questions? Did everybody review the list? Then we'll do a roll call.
Councilman Bialy,
Yes.
Councilman Kamala,
Yes.
Councilman Pignatelli,
Yes.
Councilman Slasinski,
Yes.
Councilman Talamini,
Yes.
Councilman Van Eck.
Yes.
I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
The next meeting will be April 28th via Zoom until further notice. I encourage everybody next Tuesday. If Councilman Talamini could tell where everybody votes again for the school budget.
Sure. District 1 and 2 is at Valley Middle School. District 3 and 4 is at the Senior Center. District 5 and 6 is at Heights. District 7 and 8 are at Manitou, and that's between 2 o'clock and 8 o'clock p.m. on April 20th.
And the total tax bill, what percent is the school budget?
It's
Local and regional is about 65%.
65. I was going to say 66%.
Yeah.
So if you're complaining about your taxes, this is the time to make a stand. Vote, go vote. That's why the election is in April, to give you the opportunity to vote for the budget. It's very important that you read up on it and investigate it. With that, go vote next Tuesday, and hopefully I'll see you on Saturday at the community garden at 10 a.m. And with that, I will say good night. Bye,
Night.
everybody.
Good night.
Good night. Thank